Time is 6:30. Call to order of the CRA board meeting, Tuesday, June 14th, 2016. May we start off with a roll call, please? Here.
Here. Here.
All right. May I please remind everyone to turn off their cell phones or silence them, please. We'll start off with the invocation by Reverend Jack Kopis and a pledge to the flag.
Limitless God, whose love wraps around us, may we be open to your gentle nudges, calling us to love one another as you love us. We are all hurting by another act of senseless violence, this time against gay people. As pastor of a gay church in Boynton Beach, we cry out for justice, for compassion, and for love. Let this be a moment that either defines us, destroys us, or strengthens us. And as we approach this time of honoring and celebrating diversity in all its forms, may Orlando events happening around the world be surrounded and overwhelmed with peace and safety. May the tragic loss of innocent lives be at least effective in moving people to respect, protect, and support all humanity. Keep those who live and work courageously on the margins of society free from harm. Help them to find strength in knowing they are not alone. We pray that all people can be free to love who we choose, to respect one another because we differ, and not just in spite of our differences. To be truly who we are, to walk without fear wherever we may be, even here in Boynton Beach. I cannot believe that God would say, I'm going to punish you because you are a woman. You should be a man. I cannot believe God would say, I'm going to punish you because you are black. You should be white. I cannot believe that God would say, I'm going to punish you because you are poor and you live in the North Seacrest area. You should be rich and live on A1A. I cannot believe that God would say, I'm going to punish you because you are gay. You should be straight. Help us to be open to diversity and to be united in hope. Let us rally around the leadership of our new mayor and his wise counsel. Let us be united in hope. We ask this and more in your many names: Moses, Mohammed, Jesus, Buddha, and more, to which we say Assalamu alaikum, Shalom, Om, Amen, 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 and Amen.
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have no legal, so we'll go to the agenda approval. We do have an addition to the revised agenda regarding under XIV, new businesses. We received a letter of intent, so that has not been on the past posted agendas. This is the new revised agenda. Is there anything additions from the other board members?
I'd like to pull off the minutes. I think it's under the consent agenda. I had it all written down here. A.
Okay.
Okay? Thank you.
Seeing no more additions, deletions, or corrections, may I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve as amended.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Informational items and disclosures by board members and CRA staff. Board Member Katz, would you like to begin?
Yeah, I've been in New Jersey for a wedding for the past couple days. That's why I wasn't able to attend the workshop on Saturday regarding the CRA, but I'll be at the next one regarding developers' input.
Vice Chair McCray.
Thank you, sir. Just like to make one note. That was one disclosure. I met with Bradley Miller and Bob Du Bois this morning. Thank you.
I'd like to state that I did attend the crab board meeting earlier on the first Thursday. I went to a couple of our businesses, Two Georges, Twisted Fish, East Ocean Cafe, DJ's Grill. I also visited some of our manufacturers, cabinets, etc. And I think it's firingpins.com and newvape.com, one of our high-tech manufacturers that is in the heart of Boynton Beach. I attended one of the meetings I attended was last night with Jeff Clemens, and I also attended the Saturday meeting for the public workshop on the consolidated CRA plan. Board, and that is it for me. Board Member Romulus.
I sat down with Bradley Miller and Mr. Boos as well. I think that's how you pronounce the last name. And that is all I have for now.
Thank you, Board Chairman. I'd just like to start off by saying my prayers to all those who were touched by that senseless act of terrorism. Too many times we've lowered the flags at half-mast staff because of mass killings. And until our legislators, from the federal level down to the state level here, get a handle on these assault weapons, these large capacity magazines, we're going to continue to have this carnage. It's beyond my imagination why something as simple as, we have these no-fly list here. We can't even carry more than 3 ounces of liquid on an airplane. All little silly things that seem, insignificant to us. But yet I can walk in and buy an assault weapon tomorrow. And if I'm having a bad day, God forbid, I could do severe damage. I think that we've got to get on our legislators, both on the federal level and the state level, and get a handle on this, because it's going to continue, folks. I'm tired of it. I'm sickened by it. And I think that's the general consensus of the general public. So let's get on it. Chairman, I attended the Memorial Day observation held at the Memorial Park. I also attended, as you did, the 30th anniversary of the Coalition of Boynton West Residential, better known as COBRA. And if anyone knows what the COBRA is, it's an organization that have about 122,000 members, and they pretty much govern what transpires as far as development. They have a hand and a watchful eye as the development goes west all the way out to 441 in the Ag, and they do a great job with it, I might add. Also attended the CRA public workshop. Ms. Brooks, you should be commended with your staff. It was very informative and was well attended, over 100 people, I believe, which was great. And I also had the pleasure of meeting up with Mr. Miller at the Miller Land Planning Office yesterday. Thank you, sir.
Oh, and one other thing, during that CRA meeting, workshop, you mentioned that Kohl's is not doing too well. You are correct. There's other Kohl's, but the Boynton Beach Kohl, I spoke with the manager, and we are one of the top Kohl's in the country. So our Kohl's is doing well.
I didn't understand what you said. You're what?
Kohl's,
Kohl's, the department store.
the southwest corner of Gateway and Congress.
I just want to let the public know that we did have a very excellent turnout Saturday. It was our 3rd public workshop in the effort of consolidating the CRA plans. We have a number of CRA plans, and we want to simplify it for the residents and investors who want to invest in the city. And we had 115 residents or business owners or attendees sign in, not staff, who were there to listen. It was long, and I apologize for that, but it's a very, unfortunately, sometimes a technical subject, and we try to make it as quick as possible, but there were a lot of questions and that people had and clarification people wanted, which we want to give them. We will be bringing back to you. You will see, we're going to have a workshop about this with you. So it'll be very much one-on-one with you. And you'll also see the response from the public. You'll have clarification of the public's questions. You'll see the response from the developers workshop, and you'll also see the response from the CRA advisory board. So you'll have all of that data gathered for you and put in front of you. So when you're making decisions, you'll be able to have all that in front of you. And of course, the public will be able to weigh in. Those will all be public meetings going forward. And of course, the public will be able to comment at that time. I just want to let you know that. Also, I'll be out of town starting tomorrow, but I'll be back the following Monday for a family reunion. I want to let you know that.
Chair, before we move on, I recognize tonight that we all are a little tense sitting up here, and everything. I just want to ask Board Member Costello, you're all right tonight. I'm just saying, I'm just checking. a little humor. I'm just saying, we're all set. I'm just saying so we can move on.
All right, and now we're going to move on to announcements and awards.
Good evening, Christopher Burdick, Boynton Beach CRA Special Events Coordinator. On Friday, July 17th, we are presenting the Music on the Rocks. It's our last for the season. We'll feature Red Eye Band. They play classic rock. The event takes place at the Ocean Avenue Amphitheater from 5 to 9 with food trucks provided by Food Truck Invasion, bars provided by Carefree Catering. There'll be free on-site parking. And as I said, it is our last Music on the Rocks for the season, and we will return October 21st with Pirate Fest. Our movies in the park, we just had our last one on June 3rd. We presented Beetlejuice. It took place at 8 p.m. Guests were encouraged to bring beach chairs and blankets. There was free parking available on site. A trailer of select CRA district businesses was shown before the film. Gift cards donated by the selected CRA district businesses and Pirate Fest souvenirs were given away to guests through a drawing after the movie. Food, snacks, and beverages were available for purchase from vendors. And that was the last one for the season. Our movies will return October 7th, 2016. Thanks.
Do we have any idea what the next year's theme is going to be for the movies?
Yeah.
Okay. But no, I think the 80s theme was really good, and look forward to more movies in the park. On to the consent agenda. Board Member Costello, you had a correction?
Yes, thank you, Chairman. Under old business, that'd be 13. If you'd scroll down to page 6, just for point of information, for my own information, and this would be to our Director, Ms. Brooks. As I understand it, the dollar store has been sold.
Correct.
And
I mean, Family Dollar.
a Family Dollar, I'm sorry. And when was that sold? 'Cause I just recently found out about it like last week when I had called you.
There is on your, Teresa, did you put that on everybody's? Okay,
October
there's
2015.
a property appraiser's website that shows the date it sold and for how much. There's also from the Family Dollar's Bose development, there's a development cost outline that was presented to the board at the time that we entered into a purchase and development agreement. And then there's also a potential TIF revenue calculation behind that. So it was sold in October for $2.5 million, setting a comparable that has not been probably ever set for retail in the heart of Boynton, which means that somebody coming behind them will be able to borrow money that would maybe without as assistance from us, because we have 3 new board members that weren't here during this deal that started in 2013. We gave 2 pieces of land. One was valued at 62. I think one was valued at 65. I included that on that page, calculating the land costs. And we gave them the grants that we would give to most any qualified business, our economic development grants. So we have no TIF with them. So in other words, we now increased a property that was probably worth, without our property, $170,000. With the other, there were 2 private properties they had to buy. So essentially, the property was worth $170,000, and now it's going to probably go on the tax rolls next year, not this year, because it closed in October, for close to $2.5 million.
That's great. I guess my question is that, so Bose doesn't own it. They sold it in October.
Right, they're developers, correct.
Last month, we granted a couple of grants, $25,000 each, one for a build-out, one for a facade, to Bose. Bose now doesn't own the property.
That was in their purchase and development agreement.
But
And when
doesn't-
we went through that, that was, they had said, we will not be owning the building. We will not be owning
But
this.
don't those type of grants, shouldn't that end with the sale of the property? Why does that carry over to, it feels like we gave them $50,000. They had already sold the property, and they got $50,000 out of us. I know it was a prior agreement, but I would think that once the sale of the property nullifies that. And I think we've had this discussion on the Casa Costa property where they wanted to take that TIF money with the potential sale of those, the front building there. I disagree with that kind of thing. I think I have no problem.
Would you like to bring it back up?
I just want to finish what I'm saying, sir. I have no problem giving build-outs and grants and things like this, but I think once the sale of the property, that should nullify whatever kind of deals that we had prior to that. That's how I feel about it.
Well, let's be clear that developers do not, they develop the property and they sell it. That's how they make
I have
their
no
money.
problem with that. I'm happy to do that, and I'm glad they made a profit. Like you say, that's what this economy is all about, and it helps us as far as raising our tax bases in CRA. But my point here is that once we agree to a grant, some grant money, and the property sold last October, and we just okayed the grant money last month, I think we're letting, the horse has already left the barn as far as I'm concerned.
Board Member Casella, all that information was there when we did vote, so I was well aware. I don't know if the other board members were, but the reason why we have these grants is that they're matching grants, that they spend the money first and then we reimburse them. And so this was part of the money that they've already spent that we agreed to give them. We could have given them $25,000, but we agreed to give them the original amount of $22,500. And so it's kind of like if we're trying to do business, it's always good to keep our contracts the way it is, and that's just because the sale of the property, the contract doesn't end unless we put that in all of our future contracts.
Is that something we could get into our future contracts? I know we've talked about this a little bit between you and I.
Well, if you do that, then there's no incentive for the developer to come here and talk to us.
Why is we're giving them the money up, we're
No,
giving them grants
No.
and monies.
No, because now you're saying if you sell your property, which they're going to do, that's what developers do, then your thing is null and void. So then that defeats the purpose. Marina Village, which Related built, if we had done well, let's give a good example, Seabourn Cove. Immediately, we have an agreement with them. We have a TIF agreement with them. They did what they're supposed to do. They built the project the way we asked them to, which is to the green code, the green standard. It sold at CO. The agreement, they did their part of the agreement. So if we're now going to say, well, you did your part, but you sold it, so we're not going to pay you any money, then where's the incentive to do the development?
In my mind, I'm just thinking that, we could renegotiate with the new buyers. Why does the old deal carry over to the new buyers? That's the only thing I'm asking.
Well,
Why
that's
isn't that
something
negotiable?
you could renegotiate, but you have to ask yourself, what is the goal? Is the goal to bring development here, to gain certain things? If it isn't, then that is really a policy decision by the board.
Thank you.
Understanding that developers do not own property for very long. Small developers will, but major developers like Related, Housing Group, they build and sell. And when 500 Ocean is done and rent stabilized, it will be sold.
Thank you.
So there was no changes to the minutes?
That's fine. Just for pointing information, sir.
Okay.
All right, motion to accept the minutes,
Motion's unamended. Motion to unamended?
unamended.
All right, do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Motion to approve the remaining items on the consent agenda. May I please have one?
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Is that, you said? Did everyone vote?
Aye.
Yeah, okay. I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. All right, we're on to information only, public comment lawn. Would anyone anyone who would like to make a comment, please step up. You have around 3 minutes.
Yeah, good evening. My name's Harry Woodworth. I live at 685 Northeast 15th Place. I'm speaking tonight as the president of INCA. I just wanted to comment on the CRA meeting that we had Saturday. Good meeting, well publicized. Timing was good. A lot of people there. Attendance over 100. The good news, that's the good news. A little bit of bad news on that. I don't want to be sour grapes because it was a good meeting, and I've been to every one of these so far, and I intend to be to the rest of them. But it wasn't as much a workshop as a presentation. And, one of the things that the turnout was be part of shaping Boynton. Well, it turned out to be part of shaping Boynton was the ability to click on the prepared answers for 20 very carefully, and I mean carefully worded questions that didn't always match the graphics that were above them. That's a bit of a problem, I think. There wasn't any public input in the materials. There wasn't any public citizen input visible in the answers that were provided in most cases. And the perception of a lot of people that we worked hard to get to this thing was that they really weren't being considered. They were just going through the motions of clicking on things. And perception is reality. If you were there during the intermission, you noticed there were a lot less people there after the intermission. They just got up and left. They just couldn't deal with it. You'll probably hear more about that. I guess what I would ask is that we have a Citizens Advisory Board that y'all created after we took the 2 citizens representatives off the CRA. This would have been an opportunity. This is the most important thing that the CRA is probably doing. They're redoing our plans for the 6 areas. We're going to live with this stuff for 20 or 30 years. It is the most important thing the CRA, in my opinion, has been doing for the last year. This would be an opportunity for the CRA Advisory Board to provide some input, some steering, some whatever, console, whatever. They're not on the agenda anywhere until after August 4th. Their inputs were not obvious in any of the materials presented to the citizens last Saturday. They're not going to be obvious to anything that's looked at on the 21st because they're not going to know about any of this stuff till the 4th of August when it's done. There's something wrong with that. I don't know. Maybe I'm just missing something, but it just kind of defies logic that the organization that was put in place to improve the communications between the commission, the CRA, whatever, and the citizens is not being utilized in an area that's we're going to live with for a long, 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 long time. And I would just ask that you guys reconsider that maybe for the June 21st meeting, that those materials be reviewed from the 11th by the CRA Advisory Board. Maybe that's a task we give them, or I guess they can ask for it themselves. I didn't realize that, and I don't think they realize that. And then we come to that next meeting with that material with citizen input in it so that decisions made from this point forward reflect questions and answers that actually do reflect citizen input. I think that's a kind of a reasonable thing to do. I mean, we're just steamrolling this thing, and the citizens are just being ignored, and that's their perception. And I'll tell you what, it's going to be a lot harder to get them back to the next meeting after what we did to them last Saturday.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My apologies. I confused the public comment log with public comments. Board members, do you mind hearing public comments ahead of, I guess, item?
We've already started. We can continue.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Lulu DeCamera, 836 East Drive. Good evening, Chairman Grant and CRA board members. I attended Saturday's CRA workshop on the proposed new plans, and due to time constraints, I did leave after the break. However, I do want to make a few comments. I appreciate that a lot of work and effort went into the presentation and compiling the handouts with photos and questions. We were advised to hold our questions until the end of the presentation. Also, if we did not understand the question being voted on, we could ask for a clarification. The answers to most of the questions were yes no, or I'm not sure. Simple enough. No need to ask a question. The problem with that format is that you end up voting on items without having your questions on the issue being discussed. Consequently, when you ask a question at the end of the presentation, it's moot because you've already voted. Unfortunately, I was not able to stay for the Heart of Boynton or Federal Highway, and they're both very important to me. I do want to mention a couple of things. The industrial craft area, which is calling for additional parking and sidewalks, and I would assume that that land has to come from current owners. And I just wondered if they'd been approached, if they're agreeable to that kind of plan. And also the area on Boynton Beach Boulevard where public use is changed to a mixed use medium. And then there's also some residential property reclassified to mixed use low and mixed use medium. And do those residential property owners know that there's an overlay zoning in effect that's in the works? That's what's going to amount to, and the possible repercussions connected with that. I am against buildings going up 100 feet and 150 feet because they block the air, they block the light, they add more concrete, they make the earth hotter. Anyhow, but please consider some of these comments. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Before you go, this public workshop on the CRA, it was on the consolidated plan. What I was told was that there are so many different plans that we're trying to consolidate them together. This was not a new plan for the CRA. This was a consolidation of all the old plans. And so the reason why they were yes, no, not sure is so that everyone understood what was going on with the old plans.
All right, thank you.
Good evening. My name is Rick Tufano. I live at High Point. I'm a director of Section 4. First, I want to commend this board on the workshop that I attended this weekend. My background is real estate law. I'm familiar with the New York City Comprehensive Zoning Resolution. I have worked on municipal zoning laws on committees drafting zoning laws. I think having a consolidated plan is an excellent idea, and I applaud it. That being said, there are many really great ideas in that plan. But the one thing that really stuck out was that there were two changes to previous plans from previous workshops, and that is the west side of Federal Highway, which went from MU2 zoning to 70-foot zoning, and the node, as they are calling it, at the corner of Woolbright, where Sunshine Square is and where Winn-Dixie is, which also was changed from an MU3, which was being discussed, to 75-foot zoning. This is a 20-year plan. And I know that there are two developers in both those areas that are looking for permission for variances and to build buildings. And I've heard of spot zoning, but I've never heard of spot planning. And I think that's what's going on here. None of those projects were discussed or mentioned during the presentation. But it's kind of obvious to me that what's happening is that somebody's whispering in someone else's ear, and the comprehensive plan has been jiggered a little bit to make easy sailing for anyone, for the developers who have things in the works here. And I just want to warn the members of this board that I think that's what's going on, and you should be looking into it. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mary Nagel, 2006 South Federal Highway. I'm here tonight because I was able to attend the CRA workshop on Saturday. It was the second, well, maybe it was the first workshop, but I had seen the presentation here in City Hall that Vivian had given during the winter, which was very impressive. And I know at that time I'd asked her why Riverwalk was not included. She said it was not yet ready. So I was a little bit late to the workshop on Saturday, but I was surprised to see that not only people in attendance lived in Boynton Beach, but you had the option of do you live or work in Boynton Beach. So I think at least half of the people were worker bees and half of the people were residents. I think there's a big difference when it comes to input and outcomes. If you're a resident and you have an invested in property and you live here all the time, and your input versus someone who comes in and is working. No harm intended. I think we have great city employees. I really do. I really do mean that. But I kind of walked away feeling like somebody was trying to pull the wool over our eyes. The questions to me were all of very big, very broad. You cannot ask about height, one question about height, and have it apply to all the districts, because one size does not fit all of our districts. The industrial district, the federal highway, the heart of Boynton, those are all different. I'm hoping that we will see a step down from the 10 and 15-story buildings here at the heart to something more in line with us down the street, south of Wobright, and who have been kept at the 4 and 5-story level. And I expressed it in the meeting to Vivian. I said, I'm so distraught to think that we could potentially have a 10-story building, which is twice the height of the existing buildings. Bermuda Cay is 4 stories, Las Ventanas is 5, and if you get this one up here at 10, I mean, it'll just be all out of place, you know? It reminds me of the kids being a primary school teacher. What is wrong with this picture? What does not, fit the picture? And I would ask that you please, please, please do not be, I guess, as someone said, bamboozled, because they're gathering data to say, look, the people of Boynton Beach support this. And we don't. I think, the true database is people do not want it. Thank you.
My name is Butch Buoni. I live at 450 Horizons East, number 304, Sterling Village. I'm also the president of the Sterling Village Condominium Association, which is located at 500 Federal, which is directly across the street from an area that I'm going to address. Number one, I would like to start with a rhetorical question, since I also attended the Boynton Beach Community Redevelopment Plan Public Workshop, and I think combining the land use plans is a great idea. That's something that has to be done. But I would like to beat the same drum that someone else has already mentioned. What input did the CRA Advisory Board have? And if not, why not? Two, I feel that the CRA should review the land use plan. Without that, you have neutered the citizens' input. Number three, it feels like, I'm not going to use the term bamboozled, but it feels like you're being locked into the previous administration's plans. And I think that it was obvious at the election that is not what the citizens want. The fourth and final point that I have is to change the West Side Federal to go from commercial and residential to a 75-foot height when we are right across the street in a 2-story buildings is a bit extreme. And I feel that we would like to support responsible development, but we feel no more than 45 foot in that area. Thank you very much.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and fellow CRA board members. My name is Tom McClure, and I reside at 2004 South Federal Highway here in Boynton Beach, Florida. First, I want to thank you for your flexibility in having us come up here at this point instead of the time written on the agenda. And also, Vivian, I'd like to applaud you because there's an awful lot of people speaking here tonight based upon your workshop. So if you want response, you're getting response. It may not be exactly what you thought it was going to be, but at least you are getting the citizens' input. As you say, this past Saturday, CRA held a workshop, which they laid out their consolidated future land use plan. This plan appears to me to usurp the responsibility of the City Commission and to hand over the design of our city to the CRA and developers who want to turn our beautiful city into another canyon of high-rises. I think it's unfair to ask the City Commission to vote on all six districts at one time when each of the 6 districts is unique in and of itself. I further feel that this review should be conducted by the CRA Advisory Board. Give them a role, give them a function, let the public be heard so that they can advise the City Commission on what the land use plans, consolidated plans that are being proposed for our city. I hope that this is not yet another attempt to reduce citizen involvement. We have worked very hard, and it's been very well received, to allow us to provide information regarding the developments of our city. Like all of you, I live here, and I would like to feel as though my thoughts and the thoughts of my fellow citizens are heard just as they were in the last election when several members of the commission changed. Continuity is a cornerstone of responsible development. And if the individuals who are guiding the process are voted out every election cycle because developers are doing an end run on the commission, the city of Boynton Beach will begin to become stagnant and die. The plans offered this past weekend sound like we are returning to the agenda of the previous city commission. Build, build, build. Please, please do not let that happen. Thank you so very much for your time.
Good evening. Susan Oyer, 140 Southeast 27th Way, Boynton Beach. Thank you for letting me take the time to talk for just a moment, Commissioner Grant and fellow board members. I would like to say, Vivian, you did a great job. Your whole staff did. Mike did. It was obvious you put a lot of time and effort and work into this. I've got to say I agree with a lot of your ideas. My issue, as always, is heightened density. And I certainly hope you're not going to put palm trees all over this city. I hope you are going to go along with the whole proper trees, let's go live oaks, or something that can withstand hurricanes and provide shade, which palm trees do not. I specifically wanted to point out, though, that my big issue was that none of the questions addressed the heightened density issue specifically, and that is what I think every single person's telling you. We take issue with the heightened density problem, and I believe that's what I told you afterwards as well, Vivian. I think a lot of your ideas are great. We just need to do something and do what the citizens want. I do want to remind you that in 1982, the citizens overwhelmingly voted for a 45-foot height limit. It is ordinance number 82-1. If I'm recalling the numbers sort of correctly, it was a little over 6,000 citizens voted to have the height limit of 45 feet, and a little over 1,900 voted against it. It was brought back up again in, I believe it was 1989, and then they threw it away. The commission did at the time, just because they realized this is what the citizens want. There's no point in going forward. I know there's a home rule from the state, but at the end of the day, the citizens keep telling you over and over and over, and 3 of you just got elected on this. Citizens don't want over 45 feet. And with this shakeup, I would think that would be very apparent. Again, I think you guys did a great job, but I really wish you would have just flat out asked the questions, and several of us have commented on that, although I certainly don't speak as well as Tom. I really wish you would have just straight out asked, what do you guys want? I think the plans were great. We just need to make it realistic growth, not out of control growth. Thank you.
Seeing no more public comments, actually moving on to the public comment log, where we received an email on May 6, 2016, and a letter on May 25, 2016. The email was from Maria Paituvi for confirmation that eSciences will be doing the Phase 1 environment on the AmeriGas site, and we got a unknown letter regarding the crane over at the marina for the removing of the generator. Moving on to the marketing and business development campaign. Do we have someone to speak about that?
I'm sorry, she's out sick today. I apologize. But
All
there's
right.
backup in your. Should be
Okay.
backup in your.
Item C, annual filing of statement of financial interest. Any comments on that?
That's information for you all.
Okay. The community police program. I don't see Officer Paramore, so no comments on that.
This is our quarterly report, our first quarterly report on this program.
I have some questions on that,
Okay.
if I may. I apologize, my computer just went down.
No.
I got a blank
Not that
screen here.
again.
But at the community policing program, the breakdown of the money spent. I went to page 23 there, and I looked at the line item 02585-00460, and it doesn't give any specifics. What it does is, I would like to know what we paid for salaries, what we paid for office supplies, books, pencils. Do we have that broken down?
No, the agreement isn't set that way. The agreement is actually set that we'll do a quarterly reimbursement once they give us a report that is compliant with our agreement with them.
So they don't have to break down where they're spending the monies?
No, they're spending the money. The only thing we're spending money on with them is for personnel. So they give us their report. It's a flat $200,000. They give us a report, and we simply pay. It's paid in quarters.
All right.
They have to cover all the expenses out of that.
Well, that's my point. So all the $50,000 we give a quarter, that's strictly going to salaries. Is that what you're telling me?
Well, we tried. Yeah, it is.
Okay. Could we ask for a breakdown of how the expenses are breaking down in that substation? Can we ask for that? I'd like to have that.
Well, this is a trial, and we're looking at it bringing back to you during budget if you want to continue this or not. And of course, we would need a new agreement, and I would suggest that we have a budget. We tried to get a budget this year, an actual budget from them, and it wasn't. We couldn't get it. So
What, you say we couldn't get it. Why couldn't we get it, Vivian? Who's they?
The officer we worked with, they had a hard time getting. Not these guys, not Paramore. They're very great. They're awesome. So we will work further with them for if you want a line by line budget. But we did tell them we're not buying cars, we're not buying bullets, we're not, because they already have that stuff. And we said, why we're not going to double pay when the city already bought that stuff. So we were trying to say, so what are you going to do with the money? And I think it was hard for them to understand what we were saying. We weren't speaking the same language, I think, so.
Well, we're giving $200,000, we got budget $200,000 of taxpayers'
Right.
money. I would like, from the police department, a breakdown where our $50,000 is going each quarter. That's all I'm asking.
Okay.
Okay? And could I have that within maybe 2 weeks? Is that something
Yes,
for this quarter?
I will email the chief and ask him to send me the breakdown of what they're spending it on.
Great. Thank you so much.
I will do that.
I have one comment. Since this is the first quarter report, I'd like to take it a step further. I think really one of those officers should have been here tonight, answer questions. I'm just saying, that we had. I'm just saying, we could have avoided some of this.
Board Member Casello, if you want to review the interlocal agreement, it's also included. And so that outlines everything that of the two parties' agreement. So I don't think we asked for a line-by-line budget. So
I'm asking
but
for
yeah,
it now.
we can request that now.
Thank you.
All right. And the CRA Advisory Board agenda, it was revised. It looks like it seems that they did make a recommendation regarding the AmeriGas property on 711 North Federal Highway. At the meeting, I saw that there was a different request for proposal for Ocean Breeze East site than what we got today. So I'm glad that we got an updated request for qualifications for the Ocean Breeze East site. However, I do see that there is a difference that they did not review the Ocean Breeze, I'm not sorry, the MLK South RFP.
No, it wasn't ready. Sorry.
That's okay. I know it was a weird week where they went before the city commissioners meeting.
Well, yeah, it's hard to, when you have a week that it's not easy.
Right, there's
Yeah.
12-day difference, so.
Yes. We do our best.
All right,
And it has to have legal review.
The Washingtonian article, did you want to let us know about some of the highlights there?
Yes, I thought this was kind of, a lot of people are thinking we can have a, Whole Foods type grocery store in the CRA area. And one of the things that we went over at the workshop on Saturday, which you always have to do in a CRA plan, is what are the existing conditions that you are dealing with, not just the built conditions, but the demographic conditions. Our income is $20,000 below Palm Beach County's income within the CRA. And one of the things that Whole Foods looks at, the number one thing they look at is education. Well, income is a direct correlation between education. They obviously go hand in hand. So I put this in here because I thought it was probably one of the most concise articles I've read about locational decisions by an organization like Whole Foods. And it really is about how they do it. They won't tell you this, but they say they take into a variety of factors. Population density, that is a word they use in here. Education, demographics, and the community's interest in natural and organic foods. And down further, they say that it's education is their number one. So in other words, right now our demographics are not, if they looked at our demographics, they're going to probably not, they're not going to zoom in on us. They're going to zoom by us. So we have to do some work, and that's what we're here for. We're here to do that work. We can want what we want, but we have to make ourselves understand that to want what we want, we will have to do some work to get there. And in order to have this vibrant downtown that we want, with restaurants and cute little shops and art boutiques and things like that everyone says they've wanted since 1980-something, if you look at every CRA plan has recommended density, traffic calming, and all of the things we talked about. And everything that we talked about Saturday, almost all of it is already in the Federal Highway Corridor Plan, the Ocean District Plan, the Heart of Boynton Plan. There were very few differences, very few. So that is what is, I'm a little surprised, but not surprised, I suppose, that we are not talking about adding density, very much density or height anywhere. In fact, we're reducing height and density in places and putting it in areas where there's already an area right to 95. So there's planning principles that are being utilized. And when I understand, I've been doing this a long time, people don't want anything in their backyard that they find offensive. But if you want a Whole Foods, we need to bring in people with income and people with education.
Well, thank you. What I saw was interesting was that 6 out of 7 Whole Foods are in mixed retail residential. And from that area, I know that sometimes they build more than 150 feet up on top of the Whole Foods. So, but moving on. May I have we're on to old business now. May I have a motion to discuss the consideration of approval of transferring portions of CRA model block properties to the City of Boynton Beach for rights-of-way and easements.
Board Chair, Board Members, Mike Simon, Assistant Director, do you have any questions on the item, or I can go through it?
I'm waiting for the motion to discuss first. Yeah, we do.
Why is it tabled?
Well, yeah. All right.
On me, okay, motion.
Thank you.
All right. All in favor? Aye. Okay. Let's discuss. Yeah, Michael. No. It's
discuss.
yeah, we're motion to discuss, and then we'll go forward. So if we don't want to discuss it, then you don't have to speak.
Did you make a motion to discuss it amongst yourselves or to discuss it in general
Discuss it with you.
with the presentation?
Excuse me, before this go any further, let me ask counsel on, who's our counsel. And this is something out of the whole while I've been sitting up here, I never had to do a motion to discuss something that's on our, agenda. And if this is something new, somebody needs to explain it to me.
Under Robert's Rules of Procedure. Okay.
That's what I thought.
Okay.
Yeah.
Please begin.
So I'm going to remove my motion to discuss.
The item before you is to seek approval, which is required to transfer property to the city. These are predetermined rights-of-way and utility easements as part of the model block project. These properties have been acquired, and because we're deeding them over to the city, we are approving that release of property to them, and then the city council or city commission will approve acceptance of those rights-of-way and easements. On the diagram or the map that you see on Northwest 11th Avenue, the road is narrower, so a 10-foot right-of-way is all that is required. And on Northwest 11th Avenue, we're trying to widen a narrower road, so a 20-foot dedication of right-of-way is required there. This has all been approved through engineering and other model block streetscape approvals. This is really a formality of transferring CRA-owned property to the city.
When this came before us, the model block, we had already understood that we was going to have to do some easement and some right-of-ways. This was already in the plan, so since we discussed it, I understand that we need to do this. We need to move forward. I represent this district, so I'm going to offer a motion that we approve this.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes, or consideration passes. On to the next item, consideration of approval of purchase agreement between AmeriGas and the CRA for 711 North Federal Highway in the amount of $625,000. Is there information or discussion?
Okay. This has been on the CRA's radar for some time. This is a industrial property on one of our major corridors into the downtown. It's not in the downtown area. It's basically just one property outside of the downtown. So it is, however, it's right on the main way in. The property owner, AmeriGas, has been operating since, I believe, up until last year, since 2011, without a BTR. When it was found out that, I think Harry was actually helpful with that one. They were shut down, and because they were non-conforming use, they could no longer operate. We saw that as an opportunity to purchase the property because it was no longer operating. It is an eyesore. If anyone looks, there's barbed wire, there's chain link fence. It is definitely not attractive. It is, like I said, an industrial type use on a major corridor, not something you normally would see on a major corridor like that. It really normally would be set back. So we went and had an appraisal done. An appraisal came in at $560. We offered $510. They came in back with $675. We went back and forth with our broker representing us. So we finally settled at $625 if they removed all of that equipment, because obviously we don't have the technology experience or want to take on the liability of removing that type of equipment. We do a lot of demolition, but nothing like that. So the other thing that we have is we have a 90-day feasibility to do the phase 1 and phase 2 environmental assessments to make sure that the property does not have excessive environmental issues that we would take on that liability. So, and we have a grant from the county to do that. They're prepared to go. We'll have a key hopefully tomorrow to start getting on there and get that done. We'll know fairly quickly if there's any major issues with that.
That we have a grant from the county. What is that amount from the county?
They'll pay for I don't know the amount, but they're going to pay for both the Phase 1 and the Phase 2. So they're just going to pay for it.
Let me jump in and discuss the AmeriGas. AmeriGas has been there. I've been in Boynton for like 64 years. Don't do the math. I'm just 67.
Long time.
I know. That's why y'all call me ancient up here. I could deal with it. Okay, but anyway, this has really been an eyesore. Okay, this has been a problem that has been brought to my attention, as Commissioner for District 2 by Inca, and it is an eyesore. And we always hear people saying, what if a train go down and derail and hit the gas tanks? What would happen? I understand that some people might feel that this is a large amount to ask for this, but in regards to $625,000, I'm in favor of it since they're going to remove the tanks. I know that there's some gas that's still there that they're going to have to take out, and I'm totally in favor of getting this out of the city of Boynton.
I just got a couple of questions. Vivian, is there an underground tank there?
There is a small underground tank that they, for the little office that's there. It's a, what do they call it, an oil heating tank that they, like houses had in the
Very
old days from the
familiar with
20s.
Yep.
We come across them all the time when we demo because that's what they had in the 20s to heat houses and businesses, and it's no big deal to take that out. That is easy. I have no issue with that. We do that all day long. It's the big tanks I can't deal with.
What about, they're taking the tanks out, what about the tank stanchions that they sit on?
No, they have to take all that.
So they're taking those concrete
Yes.
stanchions and everything? Because
Yes.
when I was at your meeting, the advisory board, you said we could do that for about $1,500.
Yeah.
Ken's saying maybe not that part.
Yeah, in our discussions late in the game, the large concrete blocks that they were sitting on
Correct.
was going to go through another layer of approval, and there was an additional cost that they would have to go through that we, in speaking with Mike, negotiated. They're taking all the tanks, not the stanchions.
And what do we estimate the stanchions to cost it?
I would say not much. We couple thousand. It's again, we do demo all the time. That's not removing a structure like we normally do. I would say it's not much.
I agree with Board Member McCray. It's an eyesore. It has been for a lot of years. It's on a main corridor. I understand that part of it. What's the plan? First, let's talk the real bottom line. 625 is not the real bottom line. We add fees upon that, closing costs. What's the real cost?
Well, you have the broker's fee, and you have closing costs, which we always have with any property. We have in the budget the 800. Let's get to that
35.
one. 835,000, which we haven't really spent. That was for key acquisitions, and I consider this key as far as making it a major improvement there. What is the future? That's really up to you. The Downtown Vision Master Plan calls for that area to be green space. It will be green space because by code we do have to grass it. We will take the fence down. We will grass it. We'll take all that down ourselves because I don't like that. That's one of the worst parts of it. We can put it out for RFP down the road if that's what you want, and make a commercial project out of it, work with property owners around there or somebody else who has a good idea. It can be Fire Station 1. It fits Fire Station 1. It meets the criteria of Fire Station 1, which will help move Town Square forward. It takes one of the...
See, I haven't, any of the chiefs that I've talked to, no one's coming forward and saying, geez, that's a nice place for Station 1. Not that I've heard. I'm not saying that it isn't. It's just that I haven't heard that yet. Another concern that I might have is that was it Craft Masters right next door?
Mastercraft.
Mastercraft. I know how to craft in it. Thank you. Close. They've shown some interest in that property, correct?
Right.
Now, my concern is that we pay 800 and some odd thousand for this property, and we do everything, clean up everything like that, and they come in and say, geez, we'd like to purchase that, and we sell it for pennies on the dollar. Is that something that would happen or could happen, or is something that we could partner up with them right now and say, look, we can help you purchase this property by doing X, Y, and Z? Would that be something feasible?
Our contracts are only assignable to the city, so, I mean, we could back out and let them negotiate with Marigas, but you selling it for pennies on the dollar is your decision. That's not my decision. I would not recommend that, but
that's what we do.
that's what you do in the heart of Boynton. You
That's
don't need
what's
to
been
do
done.
that on a federal highway corridor.
Okay. All right, I'll remember that. I'll remember that.
I have a question.
Yep.
So it says, in the purchasing agreement that we've got 90 days to conduct environmental studies to determine if there's contamination. And it says if there is contamination found, we can simply elect not to purchase the property. I feel like that's kind of, say we get to that point, hopefully we don't, then you have this polluted piece of property, and the odds are that, what are the odds they're going to clean this up? And so I'm curious, are we able to put something in the contract language that says that if we conduct this feasibility study and we've agreed to pay the certain determined price in the contract, that they are liable for the cleanup costs should something be found? I don't like the idea that there's kind of an escape clause that says we're sitting here, we're going to spend 90 days, we're going to use grant funding, we're going to put potentially over $660,000 on the line, and if they have created a problem over the course of their time there, that we just walk away from it, and now we've got this polluted piece of property. Can we not put in here that at the end of that 90-day study, if it's determined that there is excessive contamination, that they are liable for that cleanup cost? Otherwise, we walk away from the deal, they have this polluted piece of property, and it sits there for however long.
Well, we have to first see what we're dealing with. And if it's minor, we might be able to reduce the price. We'll have to see what we're dealing with. There may be nothing. It is propane. It's a gas. So we don't know. Like Vice Mayor McCrae said, it's been there 60 years. So there may be something, there may not. Again, CRAs also do cleanup. That's what CRAs are here for. We are here to do cleanup. We could decide it's worth it. It's contained on site. All you do is you dig up the dirt, you dispose of it properly, and you turn it back around and put it on the tax rolls. That's a decision you can make. We will know, and we'll bring it to you, and you can make that decision, and we can negotiate to lower the price. That you lower the price when you know the condition of the property.
Well, that's what I'm not offering the idea that we change the financials at this time. Just that we entertain the idea that if it turns out this property is contaminated to the point that we can't use it, or it's going to cost us X amount of dollars to remediate it, that if they polluted it and we're paying an 11% premium on the land and we're going through this process of conducting the environmental study, that they take responsibility for that if it comes up. Hopefully
Correct.
It doesn't. Hopefully it doesn't. But
right, and I think that should come off the purchase
I
price.
prefer they commit to that prior to a later stage where they can just say, you know what, we don't want to clean it up. That's just my opinion.
Board Member Katz, I believe that if we do find something and it is severe, we can always let the Environmental Protection Agency, and they have laws and statutes and regulations that require certain cleanup. So this is very beneficial for us because this allows us to do the research on the property to see if there is any. If we try to limit them to clean up, then they might not sign this new contract, and we may not know, and it may fall through. So, it is beneficial that we go through and figure out what's going on. And like Ms. Brooks said, is that if there is something really bad and it's not worth the $560,000 like the appraisal property says because of the hundreds of thousands of dollars to clean up, we can get out of it and state that, hey, you need to clean it up and get the federal government involved, and the state government involved, because it's right across the street, very close to the mangroves. So it's better that we do the study, not requiring them to clean up, because there are other avenues besides just the city to have them clean it up.
I want to point out, too, that the funding that the county's getting is EPA money, so it's federal dollars, so they're going to know. The federal government's going to know if there's the problem on this property. They're not going to get they're not going to sneak out and not be aware if in fact there is an issue with this property. Again, I'm not real clear. I haven't dealt a lot with propane. I've dealt with other issues like mostly gasoline, which isn't that bad, or those kind of products, but I don't know that much about propane. So this one's been, like Commissioner Vice Mayor McRae said, it's been there a long time. So what does that mean? And it just opens the door for discussion and research, and it doesn't bind us, because the feasibility period, we can get out of it and, revisit it if they can. Most likely what I have found in this business is no one else is going to touch that property. If it is contaminated, they may turn around and come back to us and say, you know what, we'll clean it up, or we'll take the price down enough for you to clean it up, something to that effect. Because there's not many people that are going to pay that kind of money for a property that they have to finance. They can't finance it. No one else will be able to finance the property. So they're not going to have like a line of people there to buy that property. So we're kind of it.
Is that so? Say that through our study we determined that there's some excessive contamination, even though that might violate some federal standards, and the EPA could try to do something. Is that a guarantee that if we discover something there, that they will legally be forced to remedy that situation in a
again, I'm not an environmental lawyer, so I can't say. It's a Superfund site. Yes, they would have to. That I do know. Some of these smaller sites, not always. They're not always obligated. And something like propane, which is natural, would dissipate over time. Sometimes they'll just monitor it and say, okay, they'll put monitoring wells on site, and they'll watch it, like they do with gasoline, old gas stations. So that may be what they do. And, AmeriGas has owned it a long time. They might just be willing to sit on it for many years. That's very possible. Yes, it is.
All right. I think that if we move forward, we have options. If we don't move forward, we don't have options. And so may I have a motion on the item?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
No.
Motion passes 3-2. All right. On to new businesses, or new business, I'm sorry. Yesterday, while I was at Ms. Brooks' office, we received a letter of intent for the Ocean Breeze East property. Basically, they're offering $800,000 and the contingency for them to get a 4% tax credit, housing credits, and other financing options available. I wanted to bring this up just so that if we want to go with this, there's a different procedure than issuing the RFP. This does not say that they can't apply for the RFP, but this is kind of jumping the gun so they don't have to do as much work to all of our requirements for the RFP.
I have questions for Mrs. Brooks. I'm glad that we at least have a letter of intent. I'm just saying this company, New Rock Acquisitions Florida, LLC, how reliable are they? I'm just saying,
They're a very, very large company. They're, I think, the number 12th development company in the United States. And Mr. I got to look at his last name, Robbie Block. I remember your first name, is in the audience, and he could tell you a little bit more about New Rock. It is a national company. So I did look them up. I did a little research on them, but I'll let him explain.
I don't want to hear from him. I'm just kidding.
If you don't want to hear from him,
Go ahead. We want to hear. Seriously.
Can you please state your name and address for the record?
Robbie Block, 8794 Boynton Beach Boulevard, Boynton Beach, Florida. Just a quick overview. We're not trying to, skim the system here, that we don't have to do more work. The reality is Florida Housing has a tax-exempt bond and State Department incentive loan, which will be coming due prior to the RFP being completed and approved and going to contract. So that was why we submitted the contract or the letter of intent at this time. overview of New Rock Companies. We've been around for about 20 years. We've had a presence in South Florida for over 10. Currently, we have 3 projects in the pipeline, 2 in Broward County, 1 in Palm Beach County, and we've completed 2 other communities in Davie, Florida, and up north of Tampa. Company-wide, we are the 12th largest affordable housing developer in the country, and we own over 9,000 plus units between Florida, Georgia, and Texas. I've got a little brochure here if anybody would like to see it.
While you're passing that out, where's the property that you developing in Broward County, since I'm down there? You have to wait till you go back to the mic. Thank you. You can have it. I'll get another one. Thank you.
The community that's under construction is off Northeast 32nd Avenue, just south of Sample Road, east of 95. It's a 92-unit townhome community. Similar financing structure as this project that we're proposing. The other deal that we won an award of tax credits on is in downtown Pompano Beach, and that's off Dixie Highway and Atlantic. And that'll be a 7-story high-rise retail on the first floor and 7 stories of 116 units, senior living units.
My whole take on this is I'm glad you gave us a letter of intent. I represent District 2. And my take is that every time we go out for an RFP, we send out and come back in, then there's another problem. We've been trying to do something with this property ever since the hurricane. And for somebody to walk in and say, this is a letter of intent, in good faith, I'm just saying, I'm in favor to see what you all can do, because every time we go for an RFP, it comes back, they did not meet this, they could not get this, and we're back to ground, zero again, and we have to start all over again. And I'm kind of tired. The people in District 2, we're tired. I'm just saying, what are you all going to do with the property? Board member Casello said if you can't do anything with it, put homes over there. I thought that was an excellent idea. So we do need to be moving forward.
So I guess my questions is that you've done retail. Are you aware with the current zoning, I think is MU2 with the 45-foot height? Are you looking to go higher?
No, we're going to keep it 3 stories, 100 units, 3 stories.
100 units, 3 stories. And is there going to be retail component?
No
There's
retail.
no retail component?
No.
Okay.
No, a 3-story on 4.5 acres is pretty dense to begin with, and the previous projects that came through here, they were competing for 9% credits, which is a competitive pool of money, where the sale money is not a competitive round. But a bond deal has less funds available to do a mid-rise product that would be able to encompass retail on the ground floor. So that's why we went back to what was previously looked at as 100. I think there was 102 units on it previous application.
That was one of the criteria, I'm just saying, was that we wanted retail over there. But I'm just saying, if that's going to be one of the problems, we could put retail, I'm just saying, on MLK Boulevard. That's what we need, retail. I'm just saying, we need people first there for them to go and say, I can support anything that's there. We need houses before we could do retail. So I'm willing to give you all a shot and see what you could do, because nobody else is doing anything except the Sandy Spurs that's growing over there.
Any more comments?
Yeah, I have concern. I appreciate the letter of intent, but I don't appreciate the timing of it. It gets put on our desk here, right before the meeting. I would like a little more time just to review it, see exactly what you're proposing. We've just touched on a few things here, but I have no knowledge. I got a phone call about noontime today saying this was going to be walked on the agenda. I think it's a like Commissioner McCrae said, it's been an ongoing thing down there, not always a good thing. So we're looking for it, but I don't want to be seen desperate. And this is probably a great project. I don't know because I haven't read it. I would just like more time to review it. and maybe even give it to our advisory board to take a look at, get another set of eyes on it, so that this might be something, that they could take a quick look at and give us some insight. I think we're trying to process a lot of information here for a sizable project in a short period of time. Not saying that's not feasible, but I'm just saying that I'd like to do, dot these I's and cross those T's.
I'm in the same boat. I flew in from Philadelphia yesterday. I didn't land till 8 o'clock, so I literally didn't see this until this afternoon as well. I will say that I like the idea that we're entertaining other options than the lottery system for the 9% tax credit, where this is a guaranteed 4 or 3.4 if they alter the rule here. But same thing that Board Member Casello said. I'm excited by the idea of an alternative plan to what we've been rolling the dice on, but I need more time to review this personally.
Sir, is that urgency on your part? Do we have to do anything tonight?
No, I believe the previous contract was just terminated recently, and that's why, we didn't pursue it. And within the last, week and a half, Florida Housing released dates for the next cycle. And so that's kind of the culmination of the timing and the short timing here. I apologize.
Can you repeat again what you were saying earlier about something that our RFP won't close in time or finish in time before something of a deadline you mentioned?
Yeah, so what I believe these are due late July, or the board or CRA approves them late July. There's a few documents that we have to get from the county with our application that goes into the state, late September. And the time between, the August and September doesn't leave a lot of room. And then we're also, whenever the county releases their, it's a soft loan program, we have to be able to show that we have site control of the property to be able to submit for those funds. It's like $100,000.
Not to interrupt you, so when's that deadline? You have to show that you've got control of the site.
We don't know. The county will usually, once Florida Housing releases dates, which was a week ago, the county will, backdate all of their programs and then start preparing their RFAs and RFQs or whatever to submit for those local funds. And I'm not quite sure when that date will be.
I appreciate the attempt, and though I am one of the ones who is siding with Commissioner McCray here on we need to do something on this property, it's been delayed long enough, I'm not in favor of rushing forward and just getting something done just because it came out on the docket in front of us right here and right now, especially because the fact that, again, like Commissioner McCray mentioned, that we asked to have some retail. Again, it may be more beneficial to have it on MLK, but I believe this area needs a little bit of that. It'll actually revitalize the environment and help the individuals seek things that they actually need, like maybe a medical facility being put in that Seacrest area. So I would like to see those things. So I'm not really gung-ho about getting 100 units and just housing. I'd like to see a little bit more of that. So hopefully you can kind of follow our RFP and you can come back and we might consider at that point.
Yep. Okay. I think I see no more comments. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'd like to speak on this item. David Katz, 67 Midwood Lane, Our Fair City. When you guys decided to not extend urban related, you asked if going to an RFP would upset the cycle. The CRA director said it would not upset the cycle for going for 9% tax credits, much less 4% tax credits. Also, it's out there in the development world that you're going to an RFP for this site. If you decide as a board that you want to entertain purchase, whether it be $800,000 or $700,000 or $1 million, and go to 4% tax credits, you should put that out there in the development world. It's good that you're not accepting. I'm not saying that, I'm not questioning the veracity of this offer. I'm just saying that there might be other people out there, other entities out there that want to give you the same type of offer and give you medical, give you retail, and not just residential. So I'm glad that you're holding off, and hopefully the word will get out that you as a board are willing to entertain a purchase, and a purchase on a 4% or an outright purchase. Some people may not even need the 4%. Thank you.
Vivian, is that something we can do? We'll rewrite the RFP a little bit to state some of those issues, some of those concerns?
I'm not sure. It does say it's mixed use in the RFP. It does say what the land use and zoning is already on the property, which is a good thing. So that is not normal for Boynton, so that's a great thing. We plan on putting it, if you approve the RFP, we plan on putting it on LoopNet, which,
So you could bring any kind of offer in then?
Right.
Okay.
We're not limiting it.
To 9% tax
No,
credits?
no, not at all. We
Okay.
don't mention that at all in there.
Okay.
It's
So-
not, we're
So
leaving
would the proposed plan presented to us here potentially, that would fill the qualifications, they could submit their own proposal through our RFP?
Yes, but I think what he's saying is timing-wise, it may not work. It probably won't work. So, and the other issue that is come forward is the change to the 9% tax credit, where they're going to be allocating them. So that is another issue that arose this coming year. So the 4% is really going to probably be one of the tools that's used, and the sale and the bond, how he put the layering of the finance. So that's probably going to be the tool if it in fact that's what the kind of proposal we get.
I'll ask you before I entertain making any motion, would tabling this for a month to give us time to review this in greater detail and further understand this, would that, he said, tonight wasn't necessarily a hard deadline for them to have to be committed to, but would 1 month's delay possibly hinder the time cycle for those 9% proposals that we were looking at initially?
You'd have to ask Mr. Block. He's more familiar with these deadlines than I am.
Robbie Block. The 9% tax credit round will be late December or early December applications will be due. So the current RFA, as it stands today, would potentially be in position for those 9% competitive round tax credits. The one thing that Ms. Brooks alluded to was, without getting too deep, but there's QCTs and there's DDAs. A QCT is a qualified census tract, and a DDA is a difficult development area. And HUD changed the way that they categorize DDAs, where if a majority of your county was in a QCT and a DDA, they encompass the macro county. As of July 1st, they've moved that to small area DDAs, which are higher income areas. Your QCTs are your lower income, higher poverty. DDAs, higher income, higher education. Boca Raton, those are the areas in these SDDAs now. What Florida Housing's done is they've taken it one step further and created factor areas. And their 2 and 3 factor areas are higher income, higher education, and higher employment placement jobs. And those factors are not located where Seacrest, where the site is. It's in a QCT. What Florida Housing is looking to do on the 9% is give developers the boost for factor areas only, not QCTs. They can't deny the boost for a QCT, but what they can do is play games with how much money they can give you for those QCTs. So, sorry, that's maybe a little high-level stuff, but...
So does that mean like an application for 9% on this site may not score, or it would not get as much funding? I'm trying to be clear myself.
So Florida Housing does the RFA for 9% for 6 large counties, and it includes Broward, Palm Beach, Orange, Duval, Pinellas, and Hillsborough. Each of those 6 counties gets one deal. Their goal this year is to fund at least 2 to 3 deals in factor 2 or 3 areas. So if somebody comes in with a site in wherever, Palm Beach County, that's in a factor 2 or 3 area, they're probably going to get the preference over a site that's in a QCT. And that meets their goal, that meets their Palm Beach County goal, and, one deal and done.
And our area is QCT, you're saying?
The site's in a QCT, yes.
So basically, following this timeline, the developers that might come before us, they might have a better chance with the 9% compared to the 4%? Is that what you're saying?
No, sorry. The QCTs aren't going to get as much leverage or credit as a factor area site. So the QTCs are going to be a lower tier.
Preference.
Right, a preference. Thank you.
I mean, that's a new change. This is a new change from HUD, and which now goes to Florida Housing Finance. And I had heard it explained to me, but I couldn't explain it as succinctly as Mr. Block did, which means that our site, even though in the past it was always a good site to score, now is not a good site. And like Vice Mayor McCray said, we can't catch a break on this site. So what Mr. Block is proposing is this layering of finance, which in affordable housing is pretty common and not uncommon at all. So that's how you make it work. So,
Mr. Block, why the late entry? Why this has been an ongoing thing for the last 2-3 years that I've been here? Why the late entry coming forward?
The big difference is just the market is shifted. Bonds, tax-exempt bond communities used to be built, before the market crashed. The state legislature would appropriate funds to the Sadowski fund, which would then, produce this sale loan. State Department incentive loan. It's basically a low interest loan that bridges your gap on your bond financing structure. Equity prices have increased. Interest rates are lower. We have this sale now for the last 2 years, last 2.5 years, and that's bridged the gap a little bit more to make a bond deal work.
How did you become aware of this property?
I've been aware of it for quite a while.
For a while.
Right.
Okay.
I appreciate the letter of intent. I want people to understand where I'm going with this. But I'm just saying, one more month, I'm just saying, give anybody else who's out there who brainstorm like you did a chance. I'm in favor of tabling this until we have our next meeting. I'm just saying, since we got this at the last hour, I got mine at 10 a.m. this morning, though.
I'd support that.
Ms. Brooks, would this hurt our RFP item?
Well, I think it would probably limit. Mike, when did these due? When is the RFP due?
I think it's...
Okay, and then they would come back to August 9th. So if anybody wanted to utilize these financing tools, would that put them out of the running, Mr. Block?
On the current timeline, it would be fine for the 9%, yeah. I think it'll be very tight for a 4% deal for bonds and sale.
I think that, as Board Member McCray just kind of said, I'm personally excited by the idea that we've got alternative options, because a couple meetings back when we were discussing potentially going back to RFP, I'd raised the question, this 9% lottery that is a very slim chance of winning it, what are our alternatives? And this presents itself as an alternative, and I'm excited to review it further. But I'd like the motion to table it for 30 days until the next meeting.
I'm going to second it.
Sorry, Mike
Wait a
Simon,
minute, we got
Assistant
someone
Director. Are you tabling the release of the RFP, or are you rejecting the
Yes,
LOI?
we'd have to discuss that as well.
Because I'm not sure that the intent that you mean to have
That's what I was asking, is that if we table this, are we still allowed to issue the RFP, or would we violate?
You're either going to do one or the other.
Yeah, so it's one or the other. So
You've just received an LOI. You either entertain it or you don't. You're not obligated to do anything with it. It doesn't affect the approval of the. You can say, well, thank you, but we're going to do an RFP issue, or we're not going to do anything at all and we're going to table it, unless Ken thinks that there's a different, or Vivian. Those are your two options. You can hold off on everything and table, or you can take action on an RFP and see, which is kind of what you're saying you want to do, and get other solicitations. If you hold off, you definitely won't make the deadline for New Rock or anyone else. There's still a chance that the sale timing, we haven't really got a definite date on when the application for sale is cut off, but if you wait another 30 days to issue the RFP.
Is it possible that for what Mr. Block, is it possible that what he's done other companies can do as well, and we can just walk back from the RFP and just let a couple other companies put out LOIs for us, and we can consider and make a decision in 30 days?
I think the intent of the RFP is to solicit any and all, no offense to New Rock, of course. The same thing would happen if you issue the RFP, you're going to have other developers, you may have one, but you may have two or three that will all be submitting proposals at the same time under the RFQ. If you accepted the LOI tonight, you'd still have to open it
Yes,
up to
you still have to open it up.
other responses, and you can entertain them or not entertain them. This is just the more formal process of soliciting them all at one time, not establishing one
So
first.
in order to move forward with this project in a faster timeline, but be able to accommodate other companies courting us, I guess you can say, can we do a 30-day delay and allow for other developers to come before us?
I felt like a couple of us asked that question over the past 5 minutes and got the response that the 30-day delay wouldn't impact, and now we're being told the 30-day delay definitively would impact.
To release the RFP, you're going to have another 60 days before you get the response. Sale will be gone. The 9% it won't affect because the application is not due till December. If you want to give the developer the option of going for the sale, which is what is the advantage that New Rock is saying is out there to take advantage of, then there is a timing issue. If you're not concerned about giving the developers that option, then you can wait on the RFP and just know that it's going to be either a 9% or some other type of financing that we aren't aware of that would work in that community at this point.
I mean, is
There's
it
no hurt
is
in-
it the RFP that you want to wait on, or is it or the LOI?
So right now it is the LOI that we're discussing, whether we are going to, what we've been told is either we accept it or we decline it. We cannot motion it for 30 days or table it for another 30 days.
Timing wise, here's the process for a letter of intent. If you table it 30 days and then you bring it back in July, then you still have to do a public notice for 30 days, which will exceed the following. It'll push back the next meeting.
So we can't just take it in 30 days. We have to take it now and then allow 30 days to happen. And if no other buyers come in, we're with New Rock.
Right. But you still have to negotiate. You're not with them. You're only negotiating with them. So remember, it's not like you're married. You're
not bound to anything.
You're dating.
We're courting. We're courting.
But that would discourage if other developers are out there and have plans to submit an RFP, and we're courting New Rock, that could discourage them from putting RFPs a proposal in, no?
Correct. We would only be able to get other LOIs.
No, you will get other letters of intent. We could still put it on LoopNet if you want. If you want us to do that, we can do that. It's really up to you.
I think we're trying to get the best of both worlds here.
I know.
We don't want to lose New Rock, and we still
we're
like to
trying
see
to-
some other people come in. I think that's the
we're
basic.
trying to make sure that we don't preclude any financing options for developers on this property. I think if I'm reading between the
Yes.
lines. Okay. So timing is always of the essence, I think, when you talk
Vivian,
about that.
I don't want to cut you off, but I specifically remember asking this question, that if we went out to RFP, would it impede the financing or would it cause any trouble in timing? And I was told that no, we would be able to still get through the timeline and it would be okay. So I feel like that's the problem that's coming up now.
For 9%, it won't.
But I feel like it's because that was presented that was the only option.
Well,
It
because
seemed as if at that time.
he's saying that the market has changed, because when we tried to do the 4% on this project before, there was a $2 million gap last year. So, that was with Related. They had a $2 million gap. They wanted us to fund it with our property and our TIF. So the finance market apparently has changed. According to them, I don't know. I mean, I can try to verify that with the county and the bond market. I'm, no bond expert on housing bonds, but it's really up to you. Do you want? You can open it more. You can close it more. It's really your position. We can issue the RFP right now, and hopefully, when we'll market it, we'll put it on LoopNet, and people hope the timeline will make the timeline. Because maybe somebody will come in with some other ideas. We don't know.
I'm in favor. Go ahead, issuing the RFP. Put it on LoopNet. Let's move it so that we can see what's going to happen.
So, I think we're on Mr. Katz's motion, and was that seconded?
Yes, it was.
So, can I get a roll call for everyone's vote?
Can
Well, I
we?
can just amend that motion.
You would like to
Yes,
amend it?
please.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, as per what Board Member McCray just said, motion to go to RFP.
Okay. Do I hear a second? No. We haven't had a discussion on the RFP. This was on the only other letter of intent. We haven't discussed the RFP. That's the next item.
No, this is the same one with what
Yep.
Mrs. Brooks said about Ocean Breeze East.
You actually have two options on this agenda. You can approve the issuance of the attached RFP/RFQ and deny the letter of intent, or you can approve the letter of intent. That's
what we're on right now.
Right.
Either we accept or we deny.
right.
If we deny, it seems that we're going to the RFP, and we can either discuss it or we can just approve it then. But we need to first on this item right here, A. So I need to get a motion whether, to approve or reject, or no, motion to approve the letter of intent. And if it doesn't pass, then it doesn't pass, and we go on to the RFP.
I know we have to make this in the affirmative, so I will make a motion to approve the LOI.
Do I hear a second?
Let's stop. I would like to I'm going to second that motion for discussion, because what Mrs. Brooks told us was that we still can go out to RFP if I'm understanding on this same property. Even if we do accept this, I'm just saying we need to do RFP without doing the letter of intent. The letter of intent is fine, but we have not had time to study, this letter of intent.
So we can make two separate motions and
Can we?
table?
So you're saying, can we approve both the LOI and the RFP?
No. You have to do one or the other.
Okay.
But Ms. Romulus is correct. Board Member Romulus is correct. You have to make the motion in the affirmative so you can deny it.
Yes.
All right.
Okay. So, Vice Chair McCray
I second it.
seconded.
Yeah.
Can I get a roll call, please? Nay.
Nay.
I just want to make it clear what I'm voting for right here, because it's.
It's on the letter of intent only.
So if I vote yes, that means I accept this letter of intent?
Correct.
Okay, no.
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 Thank you, Mr. Rock. Appreciate your time here. All right, now we're on to item B. Request for proposal, request for qualification for properties located on Martin Luther. Oh.
We still need the Ocean Breeze RFP.
Oh, that's not.
Yeah.
Oh.
No, that's
Or
my-
accept the letter of intent. Gotcha. So is there any discussions on the RFP that was in the document, the 15 pages?
Motion to continue with the RFP.
Second.
I'd just like to have a little discussion on the RFP that we got. I was looking at the Heart of Boynton Beach plan where it states that the RFP, people that are looking into to develop the property should review the Heart of Boynton Beach plan. However, that Heart of Boynton Beach plan is a little bit outdated. Can we make a note of that the rezoning has been done?
It is in the RFP that the land use and zoning is on the land.
Okay, but I just wanted to add that extra thing that when they refer to the Heart of Boynton Beach plan, that it's from 2014, and the Heart of Boynton Beach plan has not been updated to 2016.
Right. Okay.
And that's just so that there's no confusion that when people review the Heart of Boynton Beach plan, that it's not the same as what they said in the RFP. But, all right, so let's get a motion in the affirmative.
It's already been motioned.
And do we have a second?
Second.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion passes. Request for proposals, request for collocations for properties located on Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Chairman, if I can add at this time, the consolidated CRA plan, can we give that to our advisory board to take a look at? Is that something
You want to wait to the advisory board session?
Well,
That's right after the that's number 15.
It is.
Put it under their
Yeah.
feet.
Okay, under assignment. Okay, thank you, sir.
You're welcome. So we're on to the special events grants for Hurricane Alley. Any discussion or motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
I just want to make one comment that the Hurricane Alleys, that's been the anchor down there. That was our downtown for the longest period of time. And kiddos to Kim Kelly, you're doing a great job down there. You've kept us alive at that end of Ocean Ave, and we appreciate that and wish you nothing but the best. And this could be really something great that you're planning here, and maybe even become a tradition, that end of the street. So we're looking forward to that.
That is what my hope is too, is that we kind of want to do this every year, what I saw planned.
Yeah.
So if you want to discuss, come up and discuss, more than happy.
Sorry, just wanted to make, there were options available to you, so I'm not sure which you were approving.
I think it was
Full.
the full
$5,000, yeah.
full $5,000.
No discussion needed.
Yeah.
Hi, how are you doing? Kim Kelly, 529 East Ocean Avenue, Boynton Beach, Florida. Thank you very much. I so appreciate it. And that's absolutely my intent, is to have this a summer thing called Summer Sizzle. And right now we're doing it like in the back alley, but as soon as, all the construction's done, then we can move it up front. I've done a lot of block parties, so we're really looking forward to working with the CRA and the city. And hopefully we won't have to use it all, but if we do, thank you so much.
Welcome.
Do you want to know any details about what we're going to do?
Yes, please.
Okay. What we're planning on doing is we're going to have 3 bands out back. We're going to line the streets with tents, with vendors, and then we're going to extend it down to the park. We're going to have a DJ. We're also going to do picnic in the park. I've invited East Ocean Cafe to come and do customized picnic baskets in the park. We're also going to have like oversized games, like big giant Jengas and Yahtzee and things like that, and things for the kids. We're also going to be inviting Cafe Frankie's down to be selling pizza as well. So we're trying to involve the other businesses and the other restaurants that are local and that are more mom and pops and not the corporate, big guys, the people that really need, the attention and the extra dollar. So we're trying to bring the whole community together, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And it's going to be July 30th, Saturday, from 3:30 to 11 p.m. And there's more to come, so check our Facebook page out, and everybody's going to get an invite, and you're going to see all the stuff that we're going to be doing. Right. And we're going to be doing survival kits, too, because we have survived for 20 years. So we're going to be doing a little play on that, surviving downtown Boynton Beach. So I hope you all come out and have fun with us.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Item D, consideration of approval of commercial facade grant to 500 Ocean Properties, LLC, Oyer Building. Do we want a motion or a discussion?
I really don't need a discussion. This is something that really needs to be done. I'm going to offer a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Second.
I just got a little bit of discussion, just for a point of information on in fact, I think it's Hurricane Alley's facade. She's 6 months short of that 5-year time period. So I think what was been agreed upon, that we're going to back end that 6 months at the other end of it. Is that correct?
Yep.
Great. Thank you.
That was a recommendation by staff,
Okay,
too.
so we'll take, is that included in our motion?
Of option number 2, it is.
Okay, so we're going to, can we get the motion for option number 2?
So moved.
With the caveat that you extended the 6 months.
Yes. I have a second on the amended option, amended motion.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. All right. And then the last item is consideration of approval of subordinating the CRA HAP mortgage to Novell Marcus for the purpose of refinancing.
Motion to approve.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Now, Mr. Casello, is there something you'd like for the advisory board?
I'd just like to give it a little assignment to the advisory board, if we could, if you think it's appropriate. The consolidated plan that CRA has put out there and we had that workshop on, I'd like to take the advisory board and have a look at that. I think that'd be great. And this letter of intent that we got tonight, I know we didn't act upon it, but is that something that we can pass to the advisory board just for discussion to have a look at that letter of intent, have another set of eyes on that?
I'm in favor of it. That would give them something to do.
Let me ask you a question. The advisory board is getting the presentation because they were not at Saturday, even though they were invited, they were not at Saturday's workshop. And understand that it wasn't a charrette, because when you do a charrette, it's for a small area. I just want to explain. This is a big 1,650 acres, so it has to be somewhat structured or we'll never get out of there. So they're going to get the same exact presentation that everyone else got that did attend, and they're going to get polled just like everyone else did. So you'll have their response. So you're going to get their same, and you know.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yeah.
Because I was there through the whole thing, is that they're allowed to ask questions. I know the audience, we saved questions to the end. I think that, and just another suggestion, just an observation, is that you had 6 zones. It might have behooved, it might have been, and I know it's a time-consuming thing, but to break it down to maybe 2, 3 zones a session instead of all 6 zones, because it was a lot to digest, and gets confusing near the end. So I would ask that the advisory board, that the look at that presentation, but they're allowed to ask those questions as it goes on. It might take 2 sessions to get through it, and I know it's time-consuming, but I think the input would be more beneficial to this board when they come forward.
I'd like to second Mr. Board Member Casello's motion. Having been part of the CRA Advisory Board, that's one of the reasons why I actually signed up for it, because I wanted to be involved in helping shape and helping move forward the plans of the CRA. So I feel like this is actually something that I am excited about, and I think they would be excited to actually do, because that's probably why most of them signed up to be a part of that board anyway.
Okay.
So I'd like to second that motion.
Okay.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Motion passes. Speaking of that, that they moved the CRA board, the CRA board might need 2 sessions. I kind of would like to know at their next meeting to see if they're willing to meet twice a month.
I will ask them.
And so, well, I think we need to get a motion and approval by the board here to see if they would like to, if they are able to meet twice a month. And, my suggestion would be the 3rd Thursday, because their would meet on the 1st and 3rd Thursdays.
The only issue that we have with that, I'm going to point out, is we don't have sufficient staff to prepare 3 board packets a month.
I'm going to say that I'm opposed
I'm
to
gonna
that just
say
because
no
it's
to
a
that,
volunteer
too.
board, and
Yes.
to make them make that kind of commitment.
Well, no, we're not asking them to have it there. We're just seeing if they're willing to do an extra meeting, or instead of having one long meeting, because I think the CRA board meeting lasted over 3 hours, or roughly around
Yes,
that.
and they're also going to have an extra meeting for budget, because
And so this is, I don't know. So this is my goal here would be to say, hey, not to do if there's anything that they didn't get accomplished on the first one, that they have it noticed to have it on the 3rd Thursday.
Yes,
So
but we have to be able to staff actually has to be able to get the packet out, which is the problem. We actually, between this meeting, the regular meeting that's the issue. I'm trying to
Again, I oppose even asking the question.
Having been someone who sat on that CRA Advisory Board and now being in this position, I don't believe that is something that they would be in favor of wanting to do. They have a life, they have jobs, they have kids. I think they're doing enough as it is already. So
okay.
I think there's only one that is not full-time working, only one that's retired.
Okay, good. It's not on
But
there.
they will have
job
extra
so
meetings that they will have extra meetings, because just by budget and things like that, they're not going to have any choice. So.
Okay, so there will be extra meetings.
Yes.
Got it.
Just a
Sorry.
point of information real quick, just for continuity on the city commission agendas for the CRA advisory board. We have 3 items, A, B, and C, reports, pending items, and new assignments. I think that might have stemmed some of the confusion earlier where board member Crisell was asking to potentially put something on there, because we don't have an A, B, and C on our agenda that specifies new assignments. So if we could just make sure that our agenda for the CRA advisory board mirrors the format of the commission.
All right. Any other things regarding the CRA Advisory Board?
I'd like to add something to what Board Member Casello said. They don't have to, I think they can take a little bit of time. They can maybe even split up into, 2-3 sessions just to have enough time to go through and everything. I wouldn't want to keep them here till 10, 11, midnight just answering questions. So if they need to spread it out, I think we could just put a time limit. Like if they're passing 9 o'clock, then they can kind of adjourn and continue to the next meeting. We can kind of do it that way.
Pizza.
or yeah, whatever it takes.
All right.
Whatever it takes.
For future agenda items, is there anything that you could put there for the next board meeting? Or no? Or is that something, just, things that are coming up that in the future?
Oh, whatever you want. That's for you.
Yeah, if you could put 2 or 3 things that are coming up, we don't have to discuss it. I just would like to know, items that could be coming up in the CRAs.
Yes, Teresa, will you add that, please? And the next July will be the Cottage District RFQ.
Right, so that would,
exactly.
would be on this one so that we have an idea to discuss it.
Selection of the contractor for the last phase of the marina redevelopment will be on there as well.
Okay, well, thank you. I really appreciate that.
We'll do that.
All right, on to item 17, motion to adjourn. Can I hear one?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.